Joining us on Air Sports News, Erin Bair. Hi, Erin.
Hi.
We're on the same time zone. I always like it when I'm on the same time zone as somebody, and it's not the middle of the night for one of those. That's
Right.
good. So, Erin, you came to me through Dawn. She put us in touch with the ballooning community, and well, you're a third generation pilot, right?
I am, yes. My grandfather and my father and my uncle, and then me.
So, what was can you remember your earliest experience? Well, you must have been young.
Um, Man, my youngest experience. I think, funny enough, it was not with one of my family members. It was a
Ah,
friend of ours. And it was a flight out of Balloon Fiesta Park during Fiesta. And we flew about an hour and a half. And I remember it being kind of a fast landing. And but during the flight, we got to play in the river and go over some trees, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember I loved it ever since then.
isn't it absolutely amazing that, I mean, my background's from skydiving, so anything close to the ground tends to be moving quite fast. But
Yeah,
when I first had my first balloon flights and going down into rivers and over the trees very slowly, it really is magical, isn't it?
it is. I love it.
Where was that, Erin? Whereabouts in the world was it when you were having those first flights?
That was Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Ah, right. So it was at the big fiesta.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you're involved now. We chatted, touched a little bit on it. The aeronauts, is it? Can you tell me something about that?
Yes, the Aeronauts is a part of the BFA, the Balloon Federation of America.
Yeah.
The Aeronauts stands for Aeronautical Navigators Under 30. So we are specifically the balloonists under 30, but we're trying to branch out into all aviators, and really just drum up some excitement about ballooning and flying, and really get people involved and educate them along the way.
And what's the process then? How are you thinking you're going to do this over the next coming months and years? How are you going
Um,
to?
our hope right now is to develop a social media presence, so that we can create a source of content that new people can start to understand what ballooning means and what it is and how safe it is. And then beyond that, we'll offer kind of educational courses throughout the year, so that people that are joining us and people that are already here can continue their education and learning more about ballooning, specifically things like how to compete in a balloon, how to fly rides, and how to do it just for yourself.
Right. You're an educator by
I
profession.
am.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a 10th grade chemistry teacher.
Fantastic. Well, let's tell a few people now who are watching who might not be familiar with ballooning. Give us a rough rundown how competition works, how you compete.
Competition is a really broad subject for ballooning. Generally, there are kind of two main areas of competition. There is flying to a specific spot, either in the air or on the ground. And there is flying to a specific spot and then dropping something out of the basket onto a target on the ground. And so it takes a lot of skill and learning how to fly the balloon, but you also have to fly the balloon and also figure out where you're going, compete, where is the target, what's the wind's going to do, and you're also in communication with your crew so that they can help you with that. And usually you need to find a place to take off from that is a specific distance away from your first target. From there, you'll launch at a very specific time and you'll fly towards your target. You'll drop your baggie, or you have a GPS marker that will log where you were, and then you'll fly to the next target. And so it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it.
That was a really good explanation. That was almost like you were prepared and ready for that. That was really good. Tell me about, I mean, you've talked to me about your first balloon flights, but when did you decide you wanted to be a pilot? How did that come about, and how old were you?
I think, well, the rule in our family was you had to be tall enough to reach the burner,
Right.
which is about 6 feet off the ground. And so I think I was about 12 when I could reach it.
Yeah.
And so my dad started to let me lay down the balloon. Sometimes he would let me inflate. And I just loved it so much. Every time I got my hands on the burner, it was a magical experience. And so from there, I got my student certificate when I turned 14. And I trained for 2 years with both my grandfather and my father, along with some other friends that helped along the way. And then on my 16th birthday, I was able to get my pilot certificate. And it was the earliest you can get it on your 16th birthday. And it was a great way to celebrate.
Fantastic. Wow, that is amazing. I didn't realize it could be done at 16. That's incredible. Yeah. And for competition, how did you get into competition?
I was really looking for a way to keep learning and keep growing as a pilot. And so several years ago, I was part of a balloon community in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And we put on competitions kind of every few months. And for a long time, my dad would be the one that flew competition and I would be his crew chief. And this one time I decided, you know what, I think I want to fly. And we had about 6 other balloons in the air, and we launched at a park about 2 miles away from the target. And I remember it took me an hour to fly the 1.5 miles in the right direction to get to the right place. And then soon after we landed, and I thought I had done very poorly. I hadn't gotten to the target. I was way off. So when we landed, I was kind of defeated. But when we got back to our target, people were calculating scores, and then someone came up to me and said, "Okay, you got first place."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And so from there, I've just continued to compete because I had such a great run the first time.
Yeah. And people might not realize just approaching a target, it's, you are steering, you're knowing at different altitudes, the wind might be different directions. So you're thinking about, I need to get over there. So to do that, I know a little bit higher, there's wind from the south or from the north, and you're moving along this 3-dimensional track, aren't you?
Right. Yeah. And so it's very important to check your weather beforehand, and your crew is really a vital part of competition, so that they can be looking at the weather as well, so that you're not doing it all by yourself. And so during that first competition, my dad was in the truck giving me readings for what wind was at what elevation. Yeah. And so that I could climb to certain altitudes to get a certain direction to get me further towards the target.
Brilliant. And are you still competing now? I imagine you are.
I am, but not nearly as often. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a lovely place to live, but a horrible place to fly. The city is too big to fly over. And so I have to go quite a ways away. And even then our flying window in the year is quite small. Our weather here is not very predictable most of the year.
You're not too far away from me, Toronto. It's not that many hours away, really.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. And as you started to compete, what levels of competition did you move through? Did you get into international things?
Oh, no, I really just stuck to kind of ground level, smaller community competitions. I would hope to one day go to nationals and one day worlds. That would be really awesome.
Yes. I'm just trying to think back now when I was a child and thinking I'd seen balloons, but it never occurred to me that it was something I could do. And I suppose for a lot of people it's the same. And it's easy now with the internet, you can look up to it. But if anybody's watching who are young or they've got kids who might want to think about getting involved, what would be the first step? It must be a bit intimidating at first. It must feel like it's, the kind of clique and a closed shop, but it's not like that at all, is it?
Right. We are, frankly, of all the communities I'm in life, it is the friendliest, the most welcoming. We are really looking for new people to share our passion with. And so if you're looking to get into ballooning, I would suggest two things. You can contact your local balloon club. I'm sure there is one in your area. There are several around the country. And then find your closest balloon event. There are also several around the country, kind of all year round. And anytime someone new comes up, we are so welcoming and we want people to be involved. And so we can start people off with being crew and helping put up the balloon and chasing the balloon. And then beyond that, the Aeronauts program is actually developing a mentorship program where we can help new people come into contact with experienced pilots that will help them in their ballooning journey.
Oh, that's really good. How far along are you with the Aeronauts? It's quite new at the moment, is it, Erin?
It is. It's quite new. We're a few years in. However, we're kind of revamping at the moment, and so we're bringing in some new people to lead us, and we're looking for new mentors and new help, and we're trying to reinvigorate ourselves.
Oh, fantastic. Tell me a bit about some of your flights, which have, the real memorable ones. What comes to mind when you think about some of your balloon flights? Which one, or one in particular?
I think one I really loved, I was a student pilot, and my dad and I were flying a long distance flight. And so for a long distance flight, you want it to be relatively windy because you want to go a long ways. And so we inflated, and it was about, I would say 15 or 20 mile an hour winds as we inflated.
Wow.
And so I was pretty nervous, and my dad inflated and we got in the balloon. And as soon as we got off the ground, we were going fast.
Yeah.
So we're up in the air, and my dad gives me the controls. He's like, all right, so you're in charge of the balloon for the next 3 hours. And to kind of put that into perspective, a normal balloon flight is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And so we flew for about 3.5 hours, and we flew, I want to say like 80 miles out into the Colorado desert. And it had just gotten windier as the day went on. And so by the time we were looking to land, I, as a student pilot, was like, you know what? I think this might be above my pay grade. And my dad took over again, and we landed. And by the time we crawled out of the basket, we were like, okay, that was harrowing. But it was so much fun. And we had flown so long that we had actually won our long distance flight competition that we had put together. Wow. I don't think it was an official competition, but we did get the local sort of store-bought trophy that was going around those years. And it was so much fun. And it was a real learning experience for me to really understand how to navigate winds and be prepared for high winds as well.
Yeah. What a great story. So what have you got coming up this year, Erin, with yourself and ballooning?
Well, this year, personally, I'm about to graduate with my Master's of Education. And so I will continue to teach, and I'm really excited about that. As far as ballooning, we are going to really kick off Aeronauts and start some educational classes and creating kind of a social community for the balloonists under 30. And I'll go to a few balloon rallies, one in New York, in Wellsville over in July. And then I'll be attending the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta in October.
Excellent. The 50th anniversary.
It is. I'm so excited. It'll be my 26th year.
Wow. Yeah, going to be one to look out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Erin, that's a great chat. I think it's a good place to leave it. I want to thank you for joining us on Air Sports News and giving us an idea about the Aeronauts and how people can get involved. And I hope people who are watching this who had an idea about maybe getting involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Fantastic. Well, Erin Bair, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.